A sudden crackle, sharp like ice against skin, then a voice, terrified, breathless, impossible to place. The words are blurred, half-shouted, swallowed by static and panic. "Not here. She's right behind. Don't go." Then silence. That moment lasts only a breath. And everything after it becomes a nightmare that a small town would never forget. The storm was just beginning when Deputy Callum Hayes heard the first burst of static over the police scanner. It was 3 a.m. in Cedar Ridge, a place where nothing ever happened, and that was exactly how most folks liked it. The scent of rain heavy in the air, the chill of early autumn sticking to the skin. The night was quiet, too quiet, the kind of quiet that presses against the eardrums until any sound feels like a threat. Callum pulled into the station parking lot, headlights cutting through creeping fog. His shift had started 30 minutes ago, but like most nights in a town this small, there had been nothing to do, nothing at all, until that moment. He stepped out, radio in hand, trying to decipher the garbled message. The voice was female, shaky, raw with fear. Words blurred, overlapped with static, then cut off abruptly, like someone had yanked the mic away. Callum felt a chill that wasn't just from the cold. Inside, the station was dim, fluorescent lights flickering as if reluctant to stay awake. Coffee in hand, he eased into his chair, scanning the frequency again. Silence, just the low hiss of static. He told himself it was probably a false alarm, old equipment, bad signal, someone playing a prank. That's what he wanted to believe. But something in his stomach twisted, a tightening, a whimper of dread. The voice had sounded real, too real. Minutes crawled into an hour. The scanner stayed quiet. But Callum couldn't shake it. He stood, paced the empty hallway, rubbed his jaw as if that simple action could dislodge the uneasy feeling coiling in his gut. Then the scanner buzzed again. Different voice this time. Male, low, calm, but wrong. 911, I need help. There's been an accident. No, wait, I don't know. The words dissolved into static, but the tone was unmistakable. Terror, buried deep, a terror that clawed at something primal in Callum. His hand shook when he reached for the radio, tried to trace the source of the transmission. Nothing. No call, no signal, just the cold, empty beep of the dispatcher's console. Out in the lot, rain began to fall in slow, heavy drops. The night seemed to hold its breath. Callum stood at the window, watching puddles spread across black asphalt, each ripple magnifying his unease. A storm was coming. They all could feel it. But storms didn't make people panic like this. Not in Cedar Ridge. Not ever. He told Chief Mercer about the calls, expecting rational explanations. Bad frequencies, echoes from another town, maybe someone's messed up radio. Mercer listened, silent, jaw tight. "We're halfway between towers out here," Mercer finally said, eyes distant. "Signals can bounce weird, interference. Happens all the time." Callum wanted to believe him. He really did. But that night, something didn't add up. The clock blinked 4:13 a.m. when the scanner split open again, a shriek of static followed by a voice that was unmistakably local. "Please! Someone's hurting her. She's screaming. I heard it, please." The words burned into Callum's mind. She's screaming. He bolted from his seat, heart hammering like it wanted to escape his chest. Mercer watched him, a grim weight settling over his features. "Go, check Beacon Road, see if there's anything," Mercer said with a flat voice, more a suggestion than an order. Callum didn't hesitate. Beacon Road was a narrow stretch of asphalt that cut through dense trees on the town's edge. Few dared travel it at night. Stories of accidents, whispers of strange sightings, nothing proven, but enough to make even seasoned locals wary. Radio clipped to his belt, lights cutting white slashes through fog. Callum drove with a sense of dread he couldn't shake. Halfway down the road, The radio crackled to life, but not with voices. Just a series of beeps, tones that rose and fell like a sickening chant. It felt wrong, warped, like the scanner itself was alive and trying to warn him. Then silence. That silence was worse than any noise. He eased the patrol car to the side, stepping out into humid air, thick with the smell of damp earth and something else, something sweet, like blood and flowers, impossible and nauseating. His flashlight beam flicked ahead, illuminating the cracked pavement. At the bend in the road he saw something. Footprints. Bare footprints pressed sharply against the gravel, leading into the woods, erratic, hurried, as if someone had run without direction, without thought, driven by sheer panic. Callum swallowed hard, breath misting in the cool night. A branch cracked somewhere ahead, and his heart leaped. "Hello?" he called, voice low, wavering. No answer, just silence, and the haunting echo of his own words. He followed the footprints, the beam of the flashlight dancing over twisted roots and fallen leaves that seemed to swallow the path behind him. Every step felt heavier, like something unseen was pressuring the air around him, constricting, watching. Then he saw her. At first just a shape, pale against the dark, slumped near an old stone well that had long been abandoned. She was a young woman, clothes torn, eyes wide open yet unfocused, as if staring at something only she could see. Callum knelt beside her, voice gentle but urgent. "Hey, can you hear me? Are you okay?" Her lips trembled, a whisper emerging that's barely audible. He said, "He's here with us." Before Callum could respond, her eyes rolled back, skin turning cold. She wasn't breathing. A scream, raw, ragged, tore from Callum's throat. He fumbled for the radio, calling it in, but there was only static, and that awful low tone again, rising and falling like a voice mocking him. He backed away, eyes darting into the darkness. Then, movement, something sleek, quick, darting away between trees. Callum raised his flashlight, beam jittering. Nothing, just shadows. He dragged the woman out of the woods, placed her gently in the back seat, eyes wide with terror even in death, her whisper still echoing in his mind. "She's here!" Sirens wailed in the distance, backup finally arriving, but Callum didn't notice. His mind was a storm of fragments, the voice on the scanner, the footprints, the girl's lifeless stare, that whisper lingering like poison. Chief Mercer approached, face pale beneath the flickering street lamp. "You weren't supposed to find her," he said quietly. Callum blinked, shock cutting through him like a blade. What are you talking about?" Mercer didn't answer. Instead, he put a hand on Callum's shoulder, firm, heavy. "She came through the scanner," Mercer said, voice trembling. "That voice you heard, it wasn't a call for help, it was a lure." "What are you saying?" Callum's voice cracked. Mercer looked away, eyes haunted. "Beacon Road hasn't had a murder in 10 years. Then last month, someone disappeared. Same age, same time of night. We never found her." Callum's stomach turned, cold dread rising like bile. "But she was alive. She talked to me." Mercer's hand tightened. "Not someone alive, something else." The wind picked up, a low howl sweeping through the station lot like a warning. Callum stared at the woods where he'd found her, heart pounding, breath shallow. An icy whisper brushed his ear. "Impossible. She's here." And both men froze, because that voice was coming from inside Callum's head. He staggered back, trying to shake it off. Sweat drenched his shirt, mind reeling. He blinked, dazed. "That scanner calls to you," Mercer said in a low voice. "It picks someone it wants." Callum couldn't breathe. His heartbeat thudded loud, painful. "We've lost officers before," Mercer said, voice cracking. "They hear it, go out there, and never come back the same." Something in the woods shifted, subtle, like a breath against skin. Callum pointed, voice shaking. "It's out there, it's watching." The trees swayed, though no wind should fall so late, shadows twisting like living things. The scanner crackled to life again, low, distant, familiar, and Callum flinched as if stabbed. "Don't come!" "He's here!" Mercer's face drained of colour. "You heard it again," he whispered. Callum nodded, voice barely a croak. "Told you," Mercer said, turning away. "What do we do?" Callum asked, fear raw, unfiltered. Mercer didn't answer. Instead, he reached for his radio, calling the state police, backup, anyone, but static, just static, deafening in its emptiness. Callum's breath froze. There should have been a response. Radios always work here, always. But something had changed. The night was closing in, dense and suffocating. The scanner buzzed once more, then fell silent. Callum and Mercer stood, eyes locked, both knowing they were no longer facing a simple mystery. They were pulled into something older, something that fed on fear and manipulated sound itself, and it had found them. Callum felt the air shift, a presence moving around them, something unseen. The hair on his arms stood up. A voice, not from the radio this time, echoed around them. So soft at first, like wind through dry leaves. "She's watching." Callum's heart stuttered. Mercer stepped back, eyes wide. "She wants you to follow," Mercer said, voice trembling. Callum didn't know whether to run or stay, terror coiling in his chest like iron claws. The voice persisted, closer. "Follow me." It was a lure, a call, a promise of answers, or damnation. Callum took a step forward, and suddenly he could see, not with his eyes but in his mind, flashes of something horrific, a girl running, screaming into the woods, a figure behind her, shape dark and slithering, fingers reaching. He gasped, terror ripping through him. Mercer grabbed his arm. "Don't listen," he shouted, but the voice was stronger now, seductive and chilling. "Find who hurt her." Callum's legs moved before his brain could protest. He started down Beacon Road again, drawn like a magnet pulled by some dark force. Mercer followed, helpless. Trees scraped like claws against his patrol vest. The forest seemed alive, breathing, watching. Then they found something halfway in, a single shoe, dirty, torn, lying in the mud. Callum felt bile rise in his throat. A whisper rose in his mind, louder now. "She's here. She's here." The world seemed to tilt, reality bending. Callum fell to his knees, shaking, mind unravelling. Mercer tried to shake him back, but Callum looked up with eyes wide, insane with fear. "She's in the shadows," he muttered. "Come find her." Something brushed past his ankle, slow, deliberate, and both men froze. A shape slid into view, not fully visible because no eyes could stare at it directly without losing themselves first, but enough, grotesque limbs, unnatural posture, something that shouldn't exist in this world. Callum screamed. Mercer fired his weapon, but the bullets passed through the presence like water through air. The thing moved, and with it came voices, soft, pleading, pained. Then another voice, the same voice that had spoken through the scanner, now right behind them, low, tragic, echoing in their minds. "He never left her." Mercer stumbled back, horror distorting his face. Callum reached for something, anything, but found nothing. His fists clenched, breaths heavy and shaking. The presence tilted its head, an imitation of a smile, and darkness spread like ink through the woods. The radio in Callum's hand sparked into life. The scanner burst with that voice, now clear, unfiltered. "You came, now stay." The world fell silent, and then, in one awful moment, the world closed in around Callum. He saw her eyes, wide, empty, frozen in terror, moments before the end. The voice whispered into his mind, "We are here." No scream came, just cold, just shadows. Then the hush, deeper than anything he'd ever known. And when Mercer looked down, Callum was gone, vanished as if swallowed by the night itself. Only the scanner remained, crackling softly, waiting.